Welcome back. Now, we've had a Laura-shaped hole in this studio all morning. Laura, you're surrounded by chocolate cakes and macaroons. What else have you got?
I'm living my best life, Simon. I love that. We've been spoiled rotten this morning here at Paris Court Hotel Resort and Spa, and I'm joined now by actor Ciara O Callaghan. We've been having such a lovely catch-up because we know each other from college, way back in the day. But I would imagine, Ciara, a lot of people stop you in the street and speak to you as if they know you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're never going to shake that when you've been in a soap, you know, and you've played a character like Yvonne, who got up to all sorts. Yeah, people come up, they advise me, they abuse me. I know they're mostly lovely, you know, but they always have an opinion. But that's lovely. It means they enjoyed the character.
Exactly, and you're so familiar to them. We'll get to Fair City in a minute, but first of all, we have to talk about The Family Way. This short film is causing serious ripples in the independent film community. It's just won awards. Tell us about it, because you've got a starring role in it.
Yes, well, The Family Way, written and produced by Roisin Kearney and directed by Nuno Bernardo, it's a short film, half hour. It's doing really well. It recently won Best Comedy in the Dublin Independent Film Festival.
So cool.
It opened in New York, then went on to Boston, London. It's getting rave reviews. We're in the Waterford Film Festival on December the 1st, I think it is. Yes, it is. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Roisin sent me the script.
Yeah.
It was a no budget. Everyone was involved because they wanted to be involved and they believed in the script. And we had so much fun making it. It was a 6-day shoot, and it's just great to see it doing so well.
Giving up so much of your time, all of you, means you really had to believe in the project. Give us an idea of the premise. Like, what's the storyline?
Okay, well, it's
funny.
It's very, yeah, it is funny. I'm glad people find that. It is funny because it is a comedy. It's female-led comedy. It's mother and daughter. 2 pregnancy tests found. Who's pregnant? Mum, daughter, adult daughter. And the capers that, you know, that happen between them and chasing around trying to get more pregnancy tests. Who's pregnant? Is it the mother? Is it the daughter? And what happens with that?
And do you feel, working on an independent movie like that, the fact that it is, I suppose, half hour long and it's on, as you say, well, tight budget but no budget, very different to other programmes and movies that you've been involved in too. But do you like it because there must be a sense of freedom, or certainly collaboration with the rest of the production staff?
Well, absolutely. There is. It's like if you're on a big budget, you have to do what it says. Or well, not that I've been on that many big budgets, but certainly with this, with Family Way, Roisin was very open to any suggestions. It was a very collaborative process. Nuno as well. The actors all had an input. Yeah, it's far more creative.
I imagine it's very enjoyable because obviously you've worked on stage, and we'll get to that in a couple of minutes as well. And as you mentioned earlier on at Fair City, and then film, like you did a major Hollywood movie, I Kill Giants, and I was just thinking of that and referring to that because in some ways you're thinking, oh, if I had the money and the budget for the smaller independent movie, because you know it's really good, but then it wouldn't be the movie it results in, would it?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're very, very different. You can't compare like with like, you know.
Which you enjoy more?
Which, the big budget or the no? Well,
it's nice to be paid.
It's nice,
always
nice to be paid, absolutely. Yeah. Look, you can't ask that. You can't really answer that question.
That must be incredible, though, even just getting a glimpse into sort of the Hollywood elite and a big budget movie, and just how things run, how they operate, the budgets involved, even something like wardrobe department.
Yeah, I mean the scale, it's so much bigger. You know, the trailers are bigger, the wardrobe department's bigger, the entourage surrounding certain people, all of that. But at the end of the day, you're all there doing the same job, whether there's no budget or a massive budget. You know, it's about the script, it's about everyone putting their best foot forward and arriving on time, arriving on set, being off book, knowing your lines and doing the best you can.
And you mentioned The Family Way was female-led, and I suppose in Fair City, one of the great things I certainly loved watching the soap over the years was the fact that there were so many powerful female characters. Yours being a huge contributing factor to the fun element of things. And do you think now it's a real sort of moment, because Fair City was ahead of its time in that regard, I feel, with strongly written characters for females, but now there seems to be an awful lot of creativity in front and behind the cameras by women.
Absolutely. I mean, women are creating a lot more roles for themselves, writing the material. As I said, the characters are being written for women. You know, there's a lot more female writers getting their work recognised and produced, which is fantastic, and I'm all for that. It's about time.
Yeah,
it really
absolutely.
Is,
and I suppose for you, having such a meaty storyline over the years in Fair City and being able to get your claws into various people on the show means that, as you said, people stop you in the street or they're chatting about you and giving advice on your love life and giving out to you, but then being able to diversify and do something on stage like Mrs. Brown's Boys is so completely different.
Oh, that was so... I mean, you couldn't get any more different than going on tour with Mrs. Brown's Boys. I mean, that was just an incredible experience. Well, I'd met Brendan at the IFTAs one year, and I had a role in the movie with Simon back in studio.
Our lovely Simon.
Lovely Simon. And that was great crack. And then I was in the Christmas special for them, and then they asked me would I come on tour, because one of the actresses who plays Betty, Amanda, wasn't able to do the English tour and the Irish tour, so I jumped at the chance. It was incredible. I mean, talk about having to be on your toes. Brendan he checks you out first. I mean, the first night I went out to 10,000 people in the Liverpool Arena. You can imagine how nervous I was, you know, and you've had no rehearsals, and they've all been doing it for years. And out I went, and I arrived on stage, and Brendan, make my first entrance. I'm so excited, and Brendan's just looking at me. He's looking me up, he's looking me down. He's going like, "Who the F are you?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, where'd you go from there?" And things like when we got to Dublin, when we were playing in the Three Arena,
what did he say?
He's like, well, I had to get a scrapbook off him at one stage. Yeah. He was not going to let me get that scrapbook. Shoved down his bra, sitting on it. He straddled me at one stage in front of a full house in the Three Arena, and is like, "You're not in Fair City now."
Oh, Simon has spoken so fondly about that whole entourage and the scene, and Brendan as well. And I suppose one of the lovely things for viewers to watch as well is the other characters crack up. I mean, because you don't know what's going to come out of his mouth.
You've absolutely no idea. And I think from day one he tests that. And if you're able to go with it, he'll do it every night, and it'll get bigger and bigger.
And that's the sign of his genius as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it keeps it real, it keeps it fresh, it's
no two shows are the same, I imagine.
And there's no show like a live show with Brendan, that's for sure.
Speaking of live shows, you've also treaded the boards loads of times. You've been in loads of theatrical productions. I've got a couple of here, Orpheus, Dancing at Lunasa as well. What's that like for you? Because it can be very wearing and exhausting on the body. You mentioned Simon earlier on, and he was doing a stint in the Snapper during the summer, and he absolutely loved it.
And he was brilliant in it.
But he was so brilliant in it. But it does take serious commitment in terms of looking after yourself and turning up day after day.
Well, absolutely. I mean, theatre is, it's like getting back into the gym. That's how we describe it as actors, because there's no take two. You're in rehearsals every morning, all day. And then, when you're up and running with the show, I mean, sometimes you have 2 shows a day, and it's to keep that stamina. Stamina is really required. So you have to look after yourself, eat well, drink plenty of water, get your sleep. It's just a different machine altogether.
You've said such a brilliant, diverse and varied career. Just thinking back to those days in college when I suppose neither of us really knew what we wanted to do. I certainly didn't, but you were studying theatre and drama, right. So you did know from a very young age that this was going to be vocation, for want of a better word.
Well, it is a vocation. It's a tough business, and unless, I always say to young people that come up and ask me, how do you get into it? How do I become an actress or an actor? I say, unless there's absolutely nothing else in the world you think you can do or want to do, only then, because it is a vocation. Yeah. It calls you in many ways. I can't imagine myself doing anything else. I love it. You have to love it. There's so much rejection. You have to have a thick skin. You have to be able to build yourself up and pick up again,
It's a lovely way of putting it. It calls you. What's next? Because you have more exciting projects in the pipeline.
Yeah, I have a lot of theatre coming up. I'm collaborating with a great group of people at the moment for a show called Bow Girl, which will be out next year, and another show called Spotless, which is coming up next year as well. So there's a lot of theatre, and I was with Roisin, who did Family Way, doing a table read for her new feature only
and
this
of course
week.
Amy Huberman and Striking Out, which of course we loved you in too. You're a busy lady.
Thankfully, yeah. Well, you have to... Busy, but you have to make your work as well. You have to keep busy. You have to try lots of different things, because it's a tough old business.
And very clear that you really love it too. And I suppose that's the most important thing. Looking back in 40 years' time, you need to love it.
You have to love it, absolutely. And it's not about being famous. As some young people say, "Oh, how do I become?" It's not about. It's about. Is this what you want to do? Do you want to use your skill set? Do you want to act? Do you want to play these roles? And can you handle it?
Well, continued success. Absolute pleasure chatting to you and catching up this morning, Ciara. Thanks so much.
We
can dig into these now, guys.
I look forward to it.
Touched earlier on. We're going to take a short break. Loads more still to come on Weekend AM. See you soon.